Do you have any idea just how rare it is to find a man out in the wild who will see a cute girl and will just say, all right, cool, she's cute, I like her, I'm going to approach? That is insanely rare. If you remove the guys who learn to do this, purposely went out and tried to learn it, I'm just talking about the guys who organically just do that. That is insanely rare. And the thing is, yet most guys that I meet, that I, coach, walk around feeling like, most men can do this and I can't, I don't know what's wrong with me. Actually, most men can't. And most men don't. Most men feel too shy or nervous to approach a girl they want to approach. That's the norm, not the other way around. And yet, amongst the men who do take action, who don't get too shy and awkward around with cute girls to go and approach them, there's a couple of strategies which they've learned growing up. There are multiple strategies to overcome this, but there's a particular one that I see that's quite common. And it's a strategy that you can employ as well. It's a lifestyle change. That when you make that change in your life, your shyness around girls and your social anxiety around women will reduce dramatically. And it'll reduce dramatically without you even having to go and try to pick up a girl. What's this lifestyle change? Keep watching. Find out. Have you ever stopped to question exactly why you personally feel nervous, shy, anxious about the idea of approaching women? There could be lots of answers given. We can kind of say, well, it's an evolutionary thing. Back in the day, there weren't really many women around the clan where you lived. And so if you got rejected by a woman, that could mean that you'd be womanless for a long time. It could be dangerous because another man, her partner, might beat you up for approaching her, yada, yada, yada. There's that kind of explanation. You could give the explanation that during your formative years as a man, you had a couple of really bad or really good experiences. Maybe during your formative years, you weren't around girls your age very much. Like myself, I went to an all-boys school, so we weren't around girls. So maybe that's a critical factor why plenty of guys don't learn this stuff. But you don't have to go to an all-boys school to not really have girls around. Some parents just have friends with lots of daughters, and you end up around them from a very young age. That's also possible. That's a good explanation. You could go with one of my general favorite explanations, which is that it actually comes down to self-worth. And a great example I give to guys is if I gave you a suitcase full of cash and I said, go and approach the cutest girl in the club and just go up to her and say, hey, I've got a suitcase full of cash here. I want to give it to you because you're the cutest girl I've seen all night. How anxious would you be about doing that? And most men say to me they'd be dramatically less anxious about doing that. And the reason is suddenly a suitcase full of cash is a recognized form of value, right? And so if she looks at you and looks at the suitcase and says, oh, no, thanks, I don't want the suitcase, you'd be like, are you fucking serious right now? Like, what is wrong with you? I've got a suitcase of cash. No, I don't want it. You would be laughing at her because it's her stupid loss for rejecting the suitcase. Because you obviously know the value. But when it's you approaching, all of a sudden, you're not so sure of the value anymore, right? So all of a sudden, you feel nervous and insecure about approaching her because you think you're not bringing that value. So that's another good explanation. But sometimes what can be super powerful is simplifying things dramatically. At its core, the reason, no matter what the historic reason, no matter what's going on internally, the reason why you feel anxious around approaching a cute girl is because it's a weird thing to do. And I don't mean socially out there weird. I mean it's unusual for you personally to do such a thing, right? If you are anxious around approaching cute girls, odds are you don't do it very often. It's just not a thing that you do. It's not the norm. And because it's outside of the norm, in fact, it's probably really far outside your normal. Most guys the more anxious you are approaching women, generally speaking, the social anxiety for you is centered around women, not people in general. But I'm willing to bet you feel more nervous talking to strangers in general, or having to even pick up the phone and talk to strangers on the phone, that kind of thing, than you think most people are. So odds are that's slightly worse. Even though you can do it and it doesn't get in the way of your life, you're more anxious around these things too. Women represent the height of kind of anxious stranger talk. So what happens is you have this habit, this reinforcing pattern in your life of not talking to cute girls, not talking to cute girls, not talking to cute girls, not talking to cute girls. Strangers already are anxious enough, but you'll kind of do it, but you'll generally have an avoidant pattern around it as much as possible, a procrastination pattern maybe. And because you've got this pattern in your head, your brain wires to see unusual things as dangerous, threatening, because that's That's the way that our brains work, right? Anything that's unusual, we feel anxious about. So we need to change the wiring. We need to change our daily habits and our daily patterns. So how can you do this? What have these guys done their whole lives? What I see, not all of them, but a lot of the guys who just organically are okay to approach women, you want to become more like them. And what they do is they are more social in their day-to-day lives, even when they're not trying to flirt with a person or get something out of a person. So the way that I want you to change your pattern is this. Start being slightly more social in your day-to-day life. I don't want you to hit on girls. I don't want you to flirt with girls. When you're doing that, I just want you to start being slightly more social. What does this look like? Well, it looks like walking into your corner store to buy some milk and just having a conversation with the guy, right, when you're there. I don't mean a long one. I just mean saying, hey, dude, how's your day been? Has it been a long shift here? Are you almost at the end? What's going on? You can do it with a cute checkout girl at the grocery store, right? You know, hey, it's a Friday night. How did you get stuck having to work here on a Friday night? How cool is that? Have that little bit of a conversation with her. Maybe ask her the same question you'd ask the guy at the corner store, right? Is this the beginning of a shift for you or the end of a long shift, right? How's it been? Have people been friendly to you today? When you're at a restaurant, you may ask the cute girl serving you, you're trying to work out what to eat. You might say to her, you know what is your favorite dish on this pasta menu? What for you personally would you recommend as being the best? These kind of things, I'm willing to bet that you, if you have approach anxiety, don't do. I'm willing to bet you wouldn't ask that question. You all have friends who do ask that question. And the friend who would ask things like that is the one who's far more likely to be willing to approach a cute girl in a bar or club or at a house party or something, right? So these patterns, what they do is they normalize the idea in your head, the way you're wired. They normalize the notion of talking to strangers, starting conversations with strangers. They normalize the idea of talking to cute girls, of having conversations with cute girls, even if you're not trying to hit on them yet. And so once that wiring is changed, once that expectation of what for you personally is normal has changed, when you're now at a bar or club and you think about approaching a cute girl, that threshold has reduced dramatically. I'm not saying your approach anxiety will be gone. I'm not saying you'll have no nervousness approaching girls at all, because I basically know no men in existence, myself included, who feel no anxiety. But the bar will drop, right? The threshold, how much you'll need to push yourself to take action will drop dramatically, because now you'll have a new behavior pattern around strangers. Strangers are not so weird. Strangers are not so uncomfortable. And those small talk conversations are not so strange for you, because you've been doing them every single day of your life. And that's really key. It needs to become a version of you. What you do, whoever you are, needs to be the guy that now does this. And if you do that, just maybe, this is the easy shortcut, because there aren't many easy shortcuts when it comes to learning to attract women. But maybe, just maybe, this is one of those for you. Have you ever given this a try? Let me know in the comments below, because I know not many men do this, and yet it's hugely powerful. I do this with my phone coaching with guys all the time. By the way, if you want to do phone coaching with me, check out the link up here in the comments below. Because, I work with a lot of men on this stuff at the moment, especially during the craziness going on around the world right now. Phone coaching is really popular. So go ahead and check that out. But have you been doing this? Are you struggling with approach anxiety? What's worked for you? Are you going to give this a try? I challenge you right now. Message me in the comments and tell me, Davey, I'm going to take this challenge for a month, and I'm going to let you know how I feel. I'd love to hear from you. As always, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and check out some other videos, because if you like this one, it's a good chance you might just like them as well. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.